Hey, and welcome back to another edition of Money Matters with Matt. I'm excited for today's topic. We are talking about the B word, and today I'm going to reveal 3 tips that I think can help us make better budgets. That word that all of us feel so restricted and our breathing kind of tightens up when we hear the word budget. We go, I don't want to be limited. And so my tip number 1 is this, is reframing our mindset around budgeting from a place of limit to seeing our budget as our greatest asset in providing future opportunities and our best defense mechanism against poor money habits. Budgeting is an ideal of going through our income and our expenses and directing our money to do what we want. So, when we begin to change our mindset from a place of feeling restricted by our budget to realizing that we alone hold what our budget allows or disallows us to do, causes us to be able to budget more effectively. There is actually freedom in a budget. When I budget into my monthly budget, the opportunity to splurge with some money on something that I want, that I might even need to save up for a few months, I then can go and make that purchase guilt-free because it's in the budget. Alternatively, on the flip side, my budget tells me when not to spend money, and therefore it's a defense against foolish spending. When I walk past that store and I see something in the window that I think would be great, I need to ask my budget, hey, can we have this? And the budget says no. And it defends against foolish and impulse spending, which has the ability to decimate our financial fortresses. By walking in a direction of changing our mindset on budgets, it brings us from a place of seeing it as a limiting restrictor to the greatest asset in providing future opportunities. What does this mean? Well, when we have a budget, we can dream about the future. We can dream about our debts being paid off because it's in the budget that it gets paid off. We can dream about our investments one day bringing in enough income that we can live strictly off of our investments. It gives us the ability and the opportunity to go, yes, I see something that I've been saving for and it's on sale and now's the time to purchase it. It is the day of opportunity because our budgets have dictated by being our best assistants in holding on and directing our money that we can go and make those purchases. So tip number 1 is changing our mindset from that of being restricted by a budget to seeing our budget as our greatest asset and defense mechanism. Tip number 2 is write it out. There is such power and value in writing out our budgets. Not just thinking about it as we sit on the couch mindlessly scrolling Instagram going, maybe if I spend a little less on eating out, I'll be better off. No, write out your budget. Income. These are the paychecks I receive each month. Expenses. These are the needs that we have. By writing out our budget, we can begin to identify spending habits that we have. I would even suggest looking back at the last 3 months of your expenses as you begin to write your budget for this month. By doing so, you'll see how much you spend on eating out or at the coffee shop or on gas or on insurances or those funny little bills that you get every single month because you press subscribe on your phone and you forgot that you pay $4.99 for that thing that you haven't used in 2 years. By writing out our budget, it causes us to simply clean up areas in our budget that are really unnecessary. Further, by writing out our budget, it puts something on us, a responsibility to acknowledge the money that we are spending. Do you really need to spend that money on that thing that you write? If you feel a twinge of embarrassment as you write how much you're spending on that item, maybe it's time to reassess it. What I would suggest you do is you begin with your needs, your housing, your food, your transportation, your utilities, and your insurances. And then you would go to your debt repayments. What are the minimum balances that you need to pay? Understand that that is a necessity you need to pay, and then begin to pay above that. And then you go into your entertainments, your wants, and your desires, your subscriptions, your gym memberships, the clothes, the gifts, the things that you spend money on that are not necessities for you to survive. At this point, what we do is we go through each of those line items and we ask ourselves the question, is this an appropriate amount to spend on this line item? Yes or no? Maybe you get to the clothing one and you go, spending $300 a month on clothes doesn't make sense. But if I limit it to $75, I can get a new outfit or buy some clothes for the kids from Walmart or whatever it is. And in doing so, we're not trying to decimate everything off of our budget and spend nothing. We're wanting to spend appropriate amounts of money in the areas that are needed. One of the fun things about writing out your budget is that you get to be the director of your money. John Maxwell said that if we don't tell our money what to do, our money will find things to do. And if you've ever hung out at a mall without any purpose, you know that you just get into trouble. So tell your money what to do. You tell it to say, hey, you, money, are going to go pay for my home. You are going to go pay for my investments. You are going to pay for my past purchases and pay off my debt. You, money, are going to go pay for my clothing or my insurance or my subscription, my entertainment, my eating. You, as the individual, get to dictate what your money does. You get to send out your money by writing it out and directing each dollar that we receive. We can ensure that we're moving in the direction our finances need to go. And it's us who make these directions and these decisions. We can't point at our neighbor and blame them for our poor budgets. It's our responsibility to work on the budgets. If you are married, you'll want to do this with your spouse. Sit down and go through each line item. Hey, this is how much we're currently spending on blank. Is that an appropriate amount? Should we change it? Hey, I've been spending $300 a month on protein powder to go to the gym. Should I stop? That's a conversation that you need to have to figure out if it works in your budget. Writing it out is a valuable and important tool. Pen and paper is a great way to do this, to be able to just physically write it out. Write out things like Christmas. Christmas isn't a surprise. Prepare for it now as you set aside money each month so that when Christmas comes, you go, we have X number of dollars to spend at Christmas, which we have saved up and we are ready to spend, not going into debt for trying to keep up with the Joneses at Christmas. Write it out with pen and paper. Maybe you want to type it out on Excel or Google Sheets so that you can do some calculations and get better snapshot photos of the math being done. Maybe you bank with a bank that allows you to have a budgeting app added to your bank account or has a built-in budgeter that allows you to set limits or ideals on what you want to spend in each category. And every time you swipe that debit card, your bank does the calculation for you and gives you updates as to how close you are on your budget. Or you could download a third-party app like the Every Dollar app that Dave Ramsey's company produced, which tracks every dollar and helps you in setting that dollar to work for you and for your budget. If we can adjust our mindsets to see our budget as an asset and a defense mechanism for our future financial self, and as we begin to write out and dictate where our money goes, we will begin to see success in our budgeting. That success that we begin to see in our budget leads me to my third tip for you, and that is this. Reassess how your budget is going. Maybe at first you need to do this weekly. Maybe then you begin to do it bi-weekly or monthly. But what we do is we reassess how we've done with the budget that we established, that we have dictated for ourselves for the successes that we want to see. Take time to celebrate the successes that you experience in your budgeting journey. This is so key. If we don't acknowledge the successes and celebrate them, we will soon lose our motivation to continue on them. Trick your brain into celebrating these small successes as you go along. Woohoo! I didn't spend money on the coffee. I made it at home today. It's not a significant success, but checking that box and having that little success means that our brain is psychologically receiving endorphins that help us to want to experience that celebration and success again. Reassess your budget regularly. And if you've gone off track, acknowledge that, deal with it, and refocus to get back on track. We all fall off the horse at some point when it comes to budgeting. But the reality is that if you stay off the horse, you will never gain control of your finances. And as a result, you will walk a path of destruction, allowing your finances to dictate you, not you your finances. So when we fail, get back on the horse, reassess, refocus, understand the purpose and the reason again, and get after it again. You've got this. So those are our 3 hot tips for budgeting and help making our budget better. Change your mindset around budgeting. Your future self will thank you for the budget that you set today. In 10 years, imagine where your life will be if you live by the budget that you create. Maybe you're saving 10% and in 10 years you've done that every single month. You would have a really nice chunk of money set aside that you won't have if you don't budget. Write out your budget on a regular basis. Reassess it, celebrate it, acknowledge it, and direct your money because that's your job to do. And if you don't do it, your money will direct you. And it directs you towards chaos every single time. So, hope you can apply these 3 tips to your finances. And I am so excited for the journey that you're on as you take control and dictate your finances. We'll see you next week